trying this again for another day. See how it goes. Last one. So I decide I am going to upload these and make a kind of podcast about them, or using them. Some kind of show at least, but turns out it's a little more complicated than I thought, because you can't just upload nothing but an audio file. But I don't have a camera really, so that's all you're getting, but I'll have to figure out how to put a picture of some kind on here and just have the audio file run in the background. Have to learn editing, but that's fun. More of new things and more effort kind of makes it feel a little more real. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to make all of the drives separate, because I drive an hour every day, but it's in 4 15-minute increments essentially, so I could either do 4 combined, which is a little bit more work, but I think it would maybe work a little better. And if I do ever decide to start if I do ever decide to start editing it down, that could work, but make them long enough I can cut some stuff out. I don't know, I'm weird because I don't like listening to any podcast that's less than like 30 minutes long at least. It just feels like it goes one after another, that it's very short and you just blow through the whole catalog in no time at all. And it's a lot of tedium just to go through and download every single episode when there's like 110-minute episodes versus a couple of 1 or even just like 2 or 3 4-hour episodes. I don't think that I want to combine like a whole week. That seems a little ridiculous. That'd be 5 hours, and even if I did edit it and trim it down, that's ridiculously long for just some guy talking in his car. But I might combine the 4 a day into something that's around an hour long. But first I gotta figure out how to edit them and what software to use. It's a lot of work just getting started. Something I didn't think about too much was just like I'd have to learn a new software. I honestly kind of thought that YouTube or somewhere would just be able to just stick an audio file in and not worry about anything else, and then maybe I could stick a picture on top of it. Maybe there'd be some automatic things I could do, but nope, you gotta do everything by hand if you want to combine an audio file into a video, because it turns out you cannot upload just audio files to YouTube, and that's probably going to be the main place I put this, just because I use it more often. And I know Spotify is at least currently notorious for being awful for people who make podcasts, because they don't ever have it quite set up right. I used to use Spotify to listen to all my podcasts, but they just leave the ads in, and even when you pay, they remove the ads from your music, but they don't remove it from the podcasts, even though it's going to be pretty much just as easy, but they don't monetize them right. I think it just ends up being a lot of headache trying to deal with them, so I might put it on there, especially these early ones when I don't really care about making a buck off of them. Oh, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting getting to learn some new skills. It's kind of why I want to do it, so it makes it nice. Oh, cloudy this morning. I don't know how much I'm gonna upload these, because I work 5 days a week, so I could do 5 a week, but that would be a lot of work, possibly, upload them all. If I can figure out how to get it done quick, like maybe I just stick all the days ones end to end, and then from there I can just stick a picture on, maybe make that into a video. I'd like to do some kind of like cool graphic in the back, even though I know nobody's ever going to look at it, because it's like, this is an audio only podcast, and if it's just a picture, I mean, it's just going to be sitting there. So I guess I could just do a solid picture for an hour, but yeah, I got an AI generated picture. Like, I don't love using AI for all that kind of stuff. It just kind of, I don't know. I prefer not to use AI all that much, but it's just so much easier. I do not know how to do digital art. My wife does a little bit of art, so I might get her to do some kind of something for the art, but I don't know how to do any myself, and I'm already trying to learn how to use video editing software and how to create audio, so I don't really feel like I want to go through all the effort of also learning how to do Photoshop or anything, or paint. I guess I could just do some real basic art. Yeah. Oh, I did end up choosing a name for the channel. I'm gonna go with Phlightless Phoenix. Phlightless with a PH. So it's phonetically and also visually alliterative. But I know people say that alliteration almost always annoys, but I think that sometimes it's fun, especially in titles. It's kind of punchy, and so I think it's a good name. I wanted Texas Phoenix, but that one was taken in every way I could think of doing it. I don't know if anybody actually uses all the Gmail accounts and all the different like YouTube accounts that are up. I really doubt that most of them are even in use, but I bet you people just think of a cool name and use it so that nobody else can have it. But I mean, that does remind me, I need to get on all the different social media and just make an account before somebody else does, because I'm sure it's annoying for a lot of people these days who try and get into this sort of thing, but it just seems like it shouldn't be that hard to choose a name that is unique and you can have everywhere. But just the sheer number of people and bots that are out on the internet these days makes it feel like it's impossible to just get something truly unique online. And that's kind of something that made me hesitant about doing this in the first place, because I felt like it wasn't going to be unique. It was just something that is already being done over and over and over by everybody and their mom. Everybody's got a podcast these days, but I don't know. I think I'm kind of past feeling where I just kind of am so worried about what other people think that I don't do it. I really want to just get out and do some more stuff without thinking first about, oh, people already done this, or oh, people are going to think it's weird. Some guy's staring at me for talking to myself in my car, but I don't think it's that weird anyway. But even if it is, I don't think that I need to care. I think life's a lot more fun when you can just enjoy yourself regardless of what other people might say or think. And that's kind of really what it comes down to, is just deciding that I don't want to just have another boring day every single day where nothing really happens. I want to figure out something and just do what I want. You know, making this podcast while driving, it's some extra time I had anyway, but I do kind of wonder. I know it's not distracting me too much on the road, so I'm paying plenty of attention, but I know that some people might think it's too distracting, but you talk to other people in the car all the time, so talking to yourself isn't really more distracting than that. But I am definitely not going to be recording video, at least not until I have like a dash cam or something. But even then, that wouldn't be good because it would show my house, and you don't want to put that up on the internet. So I probably won't ever do a video, but I feel like that's where it would get distracting. Well, I'm here, so that'll be all for now. I might combine this with some more later, but we'll see. And we're off. Alright, I do not know why I always make that big old sigh when I get in the car. I guess I just don't know exactly how to start these things, but maybe one day I'll figure it out. That day is not today. Oh. It's always interesting. People have many different I don't know what you call them, verbal pauses that they use, whether it's oh or Everybody always wants to get rid of them, but it's kind of hard to stop making those pauses in your speech when you're trying to think of what to say. Just keep talking. It's harder than you'd think to just talk without end for a while when you don't exactly have a plan for it. It might be better if I actually had a plan. That might help not have all those little pauses and whatever they're called, little syllables in between. But it would be a lot of work to just come up with a plan for every single day for what I need to say. It's also kind of hard to keep a continuous line of thought when I have to stop for moving through traffic here and there. But it is the easiest and most convenient time to do this. Plus it gives me something to kind of talk about as well, even though I haven't done it yet. But yeah, it's just another of those interesting things that everyone always seems to have trouble with talking, and maybe that's kind of something that could be helped by a project like this, where you just learn to talk and maybe improvise a little. I've always been bad at improvising. Like, I've tried to play D&D and other role-playing games, and they're fun, but I am just not very good at improvising or coming up with words to say on the spot. I've had an idea for a while about like a game I wanted to play. So there's a Star Wars role-playing game for the tabletop that I've played some games of with friends now, and it's fun, but I want to run my own game because I have a lot of ideas. I grew up with Star Wars. Like, that's pretty much one of the first shows or TV. Star Wars The Clone Wars is one of the first TV shows I really remember enjoying, and the Star Wars movies are some of the first movies I can recall really getting into. I always loved them, and especially I was a kid, so I loved the prequels when they came out because I was the right age for it, and so it was cool. And even I know a ton of people just don't love the Phantom Menace for a lot of different reasons, but they say it was slow, or the humor in it is off-putting with like Jar Jar. But I loved the Phantom Menace growing up, and like, even though I get what people say about all the political talk being super slow, but that's always been really enjoyable to me. Just the different conversations about the reasoning behind kind of the in-universe explanation for the reason the whole Clone Wars started, and the corruption of the Republic, and kind of how that all starts. I thought that was so interesting. Even when I was younger, I would pay attention through all those things that people say are so boring. I love the battle droids. Like, the B-1 battle droid is my favorite kind of art from Star Wars, or favorite character. I guess they're not exactly characters, most of them, but like the kind of design of them is so cool. Like, this kind of skeletal, but still distinctly alien at the same time, but robotic, and they're just so cool. They're definitely my favorite design. I wish more people, or like Disney, did more products with the B-1 battle droid, because like, I like having some Star Wars merchandise, and I have a lot, but they just don't make a lot of B-1 stuff, and especially now as an adult, I don't really play with the toys as much. It's more like the collector's Lego models that I think are cool, and the different, not the posters, but like the different little collector's items. Like, I got some credits that are really cool, and like a sabacc deck, but there's not as much just like decorative stuff. Like, I got some cool Lego models. I play a lot of the tabletop games, so I have Star Wars Legion is currently what I'm the most into, and I have a lot of B1s for that. I have like 30-something individual B1 models for that game, because there's a lot of them in each squad. But I have that. Then I have a Star Wars Armada is another one I'm into. They've stopped producing that now, but I got a lot of the models when that was still going. Mainly Empire. The Empire has some really cool ships, but the CIS and just the droid forces the design on those is great. Like, they did a really good job getting that weird mix of like cool robot but also alien, and so the ships have this really distinct look that's just really cool. And it's not as like, the Empire is cool, but it's very utilitarian and kind of overbearing and somewhat impractical, really. But the separatist and droid forces all seem to be a pretty good amount of practical. There's still a rule of cool going on there for sure, where they're not entirely practical, but they do have that more practicality while also being very visually distinct and having a lot of unique features. But they're definitely some of my favorites there. Star Wars is probably one of my favorite kind of universes. And, it's weird how it used to be, like, it started out being super nerdy. It immediately gained popularity, but being real into it was nerdy. And throughout the years, it just got more and more of that. And then when the prequels came out, it kind of resurged a little bit where it was more popular again. And then the same thing happened with the sequels, where over time it got more and more nerdy and uncool, but then it got really cool again when it got popular. And so it just kind of went back and forth. But I never really got made fun of too much, that I know of at least, for being into Star Wars. People didn't think it was too weird. Like, nobody really got super into it. But I always did. I never felt too weird about really like getting into that kind of thing. I've always been okay with being called a nerd. I never felt like it was a bad thing to be. But a lot of people do. A lot of people are like really don't want to be associated with that. And I know I have some people I knew and some in-laws and family members on that side who would like consider it a bad thing to be called a nerd. And I never really got that. I always kind of felt like it was either a positive or at least a neutral thing. But I guess it's just kind of your perception of it that matters more. I never really had a bad perception of nerds in general, so I never felt like it was a bad thing to be. That'll be about all for this portion of it. I'm going to try pausing instead of stopping these, so maybe I can have one continuous day recording rather than 4 separate recordings. I already have a separate recording for this morning, but this is the second of the day, so this is lunchtime going home. But I'll see what ends up happening. Okay, I know that it's not a thing for everybody, but I just feel like an hour is not long enough for a break. Like, I get that if you're staying at work and not going home, that it's not that hard to get a good long break in, and if you're really close, like I used to be only 5 minutes from work, so it was like 50 minutes, but I still just felt like I didn't have enough time. And it really feels like I just need a little more time, you know? Because I get home and I got 30 minutes to eat, do anything I need to, and then get back to work, and really that's only enough time to eat. I don't even take that long to eat. I'm a very quick eater. It just still takes me at least like 15 to 20 minutes, and then if I want to spend any time at all talking to my wife, I have to put that in the middle of the meal, and so it takes an extra few minutes because I'm talking while I'm eating. Well, not at the same time, but you know, during that time. And so then I look up at the clock and it's already time to get back to work. Whoa. So it just feels like it's not enough time, you know? Because I'd like to just be able to get home, you know, relax for a minute, eat, let my food digest, and play with my daughter, like let her run around a little bit before I go, not be kissing them both on the head as I walk out the door and they're still sitting down to eat. And that's when food is ready, right when I get back. Like if it's a 5 or 10 minute wait before lunch is ready, then I don't even have time to talk. I just have to shovel food into my mouth as fast as I can and get going. But it's really just one of those things that I feel like people focus so much on what they need done at work, they don't realize what they're giving up to do it. Because I could easily work 7 o'clock to 11, have a 2-hour break, and then work from 1 to 5. And I'd work just as long, but I'd spend much more time every day with my family, or at least it would feel that way. Even if we got up early, it's in the morning, you're getting ready, throwing things together, and at night there's just so many things to do. I feel like you need more time in the middle of the day, really. And I feel like it extends to holidays too, because like my work currently, I get the 5 holidays off a year. So I get New Year's Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July or Independence Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So I get 6 holidays a year, but I only get those 6 days. Like, if I want to see any family outside of my parents who live an hour away, if I want to see anybody else, I have to take a day off of work, which I get 2 weeks off, which I know is pretty good for America, but that is not really that good, because if you want to take a week vacation, then that's 5 days or 1 week, and then that leaves you with 5 more days for the whole rest of the year. And it's like, if you want to go visit family, you have to take a day off. If I want to spend Christmas Eve with my family, I have to take a day off. If I want to go out of town for 4th of July, I got to take a day off. And it's just so many things. And then even, like, my work's good about letting you take smaller portions of time off so you can go to kids' award ceremonies and you can go to doctor's appointments and different things like that. But if you have doctor's appointments for your kids, you watch your kids while something else is going on, if you need to go to an event, if you need to see family, if you need to help somebody out, like even if my sister's car breaks down and I need to go pick her up and help her get towed or find a way to work, I just have to take time off. And it feels like by the end of the year I don't even have enough time off left for a week of vacation, hardly. It's all these little things here and there. It's just part of the American work culture these days. Feels like you're really pressured to never take any time off or never take extra. But I really think we need to just have a little more time to ourselves. It's really not that important that you're there every single hour of every single day. Like, companies make so much more money than they give their employees. People just want more and more every single year, and the numbers just always have to go up. If they're not going up, then somebody gets fired. But really, if you're making money, why does it matter that you made more money this year than you did last year? Like, growth is not always a good thing. Sometimes you just need to let it be and let yourself be a profitable company. If you're making $1 billion a year, or I know my company's not making anywhere near that much, but these big corporations will make billions of dollars in profit every single year. but then find every excuse they can to squeeze a little bit more out so that they appear like they're doing better, when really all they have to do is just make what they spend, they're profitable. It's not really necessary to just have this constant upward trend, because eventually something's got to pop and the bubble's going to go away. Something's going to break and you're going to crash out. Everyone's going to lose money. And really, if you just were steady and let yourself just have a normal amount of growth, not worry so much about making what you have more profitable, but instead focusing on making the company better, everyone would be happier. But people only seem to care about money these days. Like, you really need to just stop and think, is it worth $1,000 for a little bit of happiness? My wife and I talked about this a lot, because she stays at home while I work so she can raise our daughter and spend more time at the house just making sure it's all in shape. And it's not because we're really strict on traditional gender roles or anything like that. I wouldn't care if I was home and she was working, but I just make more money so we're able to afford a little more. But we had to stop and think, like, if she was working, she'd be making like $30,000 a year, probably, for a full-time job. And then after daycare and eating out more often and all the different expenses that come with that, gas and different things, like we might get a little bit back on insurance, but she wouldn't really end up making a net amount of that much, like, because even a cheap daycare is $1,000 a month, it feels like. But even like a real cheap one, if we did like $800 a month or less, like if you're doing $800 a month, then that's let's see, that's 8,000 plus 1,600, so that's almost 10,000 a year. And then you have extra gas cost, eating out a bit more, and you really just got to think, is all that money worth the happiness it's going to cost you? Because, like, we were thinking about, my wife had some bad experiences in daycare, and so she didn't like the idea of sending our daughter to daycare anyway. But I was thinking too, just like, your kids are going to love being home with you as parents way more than they're going to like being at daycare. And it just seems like kids who stay at home just tend to do better in school and have happier lives most of the time too. Like, I know that parents sometimes don't have a choice, and a lot of parents think they're doing a real good job sending their kids to daycare, and I'm sure those are still great parents, and there's a ton of great daycares out there who are good, what's good for your kids. But just being home is worth more than 10,000, even more than 20. Just like, every little bit of money is going to cost you so much more than that in the amount of time you have and the happiness you have. And I'd give up a lot more than $20,000 to make my daughter happy. Like, even if my wife was making the same amount I do, because I make around, I mean, after taxes and all, maybe $60K a year. Well, way less than that, actually. But, I mean, before taxes and health insurance, I'm making like $68,000 a year. Which, it's pretty good for a full-time job these days, actually, but it still feels like it's not that much. And even if we could double that with my wife working, I don't think that'd be worth it. We're happy where we are, and it's hard to save up for a house. We can't we have to just rent for a while, and we can't buy new cars. We have to use older ones and just hope they don't break down. We can't afford to eat out every week. We have to save our money, budget our groceries, but we're happy. We have everything we really need, and we're enjoying life. We can buy things here and there that are not too expensive. We can just enjoy it. We can go visit family every month, and we can afford to live in a slightly nicer apartment. So it's not bad, but double it, and I don't really know what we would gain that much. We would be a little more comfortable, but would we really be happier? I don't think so. I think that like maybe $100,000 a year, and after that point you're just not really getting much happier, and even that isn't much happier than I am now. I could have $1 million a year, but it would just buy me stuff. It would just keep me occupied. And I don't, like I've said, I don't want to just be occupied. I don't want to just have stuff. I want to actually feel like I'm doing something. I want to enjoy my life. And that's not going to happen just because you spend more money. That's going to happen because you're with family. That's going to be from relationships and achievements. So I think really it's worth it to just not have as much, but be a lot happier with what you have. That's important. Just enjoying people. You can't take it with you when you go, but people are gonna remember your memory forever. Now it's gonna be an extra long one today, because I have to run to a couple stores on the way home because of ants. So many ants all over the floor, all in my laundry, biting me all over. Oh, yeah, we got ants started coming in the house, and we do not have any pesticide of any kind that's current. We have some old ant killer, but it was expired a couple years ago, because that was back, 2020, I think it was. We were in that apartment. We were in a different apartment, and we had ants come in and get all over our food, everything in the pantry. Just anything that was not sealed had to be thrown out. And we had to buy like $150 in groceries just to replace what was ruined by those ants. And it was like overnight too. There wasn't like a build-up and then more and more ants over time. It was just like, oh, there's an ant colony outside. Well, we'll make sure they're not getting inside tomorrow. Oh, they're already in every single piece of food we own. Luckily they didn't get in the fridge, but not too far off. But yeah, now they're only in the bedrooms, but biting me, biting my wife, biting my daughter, all over our clothes, and everything. Is just too many of them. So we're gonna have to spray. But don't like spraying inside with the hard stuff, so my wife wants a spray bottle so she can get some like natural peppermint oil and some kind of other essential oil. Spray those around. It's supposed to keep them away a bit, but I'm gonna have to rewash all the clothes. Really should have folded them. They were just sitting on the floor in a laundry hamper for a day or two just because we didn't have the time. But yeah, well. But now they need to be rewashed, but they're needing... Okay, dude. That has got to be the most annoying thing ever about driving. little boy driving a sports car thinks he has to be the most important person on the road and make all the noise and disturb everyone's day. Oh, I get if you're into cars and like the sound of a car taking off like that can be cool sometimes, but you should not do it in the middle of the road when everyone's just trying to get home. It also is not good for the engine. Just like, come on. And especially, there are people here who will just do it at night in the middle of the day. Or not in the opposite of the middle of the day. They'll do it in the middle of the night. We used to live right by a highway. Just a few months ago we moved, but we were living right on a highway almost. And actually, the highway I'm driving on right now. But every night we would just hear people racing down the highway, their engines loud as could be. And it was just ridiculous. Like, people are trying to sleep. It would wake up my daughter. She wasn't even a year old, and somebody would drive down the road right by the house with an engine louder than anything that should be legal, and then just wake us all up, wake her up, send her screaming. I really don't like rules allowing loud engines. Like, it is just not a good idea, in my opinion. There's no benefit to the engine being louder, and we regulate so many things about cars, but noise pollution is underrated as an issue. Just, noise pollution should be way more of a concern than it is for people. Like, you should be able to sit outside your house and not just constantly have background traffic running by. You should be able to enjoy a little bit of peace and quiet. I'm really hoping that sometime in the future, next few years, maybe we can buy a place a lot further out so we just do not have to deal with any of that, because I don't enjoy having noise around me. I like peace and quiet. I want to just be out in a field somewhere. Well, I guess that's my old man rant for the day. But actually, electric cars are expensive, so I don't think I'll ever be able to afford one, but I would really not mind if electric cars were to become a requirement. I know that gas cars are currently cheaper, but really engines are ridiculously big and expensive when you look at it. Like, the amount of weight and metal you need, it's just as bad as a battery. As soon as electric cars become common enough, they'll drive the prices down, and I think everyone will switch, because it is a lot better, and it'll be nice and a lot quieter. I know tires still make a ridiculous amount of noise, but at least the engines won't be blaring everywhere. But that might not... I don't think that's going to happen as soon as a lot of people seem to think it's going to happen. I think it's ridiculous to expect that by 2050. Like, 30 years, people still drive cars. Like, I'm driving a car that's well over 20 years old now, and people drive cars that are much older than that all the time. So I do not think that it'll be normal to just have every single car on the road be electric. But I do think that it's already a lot more common. You see a lot more electric cars around, and as soon as it gets to be affordable, it'll be everywhere. But the main issue right now is just that car prices are crazy inflated. Because it definitely does not cost the price of a small house to make a car, but people will charge you $100,000 for something that wasn't even a fifth of that price 10 years ago. I'm just ready for all these big inflation bubbles to pop. I know it's going to be terrible for the economy in total, but houses and cars are just going up and up and up way more than actual labor costs and the cost of materials. People are just charging like crazy because they can, and the land is going up in price all the time. But the land never changes, so the only reason the price changes is inflation and greed. People know they can sell them for more, so they do. Store number 1, so be back in a minute. Okay, that's store number 1 done. Now on to store number 2. Storm? I don't speak. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. I have no idea what I was talking about before, so new topic. As soon as I get out of here. Traffic is horrible at this time of day, but what do you expect? And we're off. Okay. Oh. I think I was saying something about loudness, but I just remembered moving out. I feel like that's becoming more and more popular. Maybe I am just around people who want to move out of the city already. I know it's been a thing for a long time. People have been leaving the cities, but the cities keep growing, so I guess not everybody's leaving them. I mean, I grew up in a small town, not the smallest ever, but definitely a small town, and so it's just something that I always preferred, is living somewhere with a little less population density. I don't like just walking outside and being surrounded by nothing but concrete and houses and no not as many trees at least. And I'm in a smaller city too. It's much less dense in terms of population, but it's still just choking. It's impossible to just get out and walk in the field for a minute, or it's hard to get out where you can see the stars at night even. Like, I don't live anywhere big enough that it should have terrible light pollution, and we can still see some stars, but you get outside at night and you just can't see a thing, hardly. Next thing you know, you're just sitting there staring up, and the moon's bright enough you can see, and like maybe 20 stars, probably more like 100 across the whole sky. But you think about how many stars there are, that is nothing. You're missing all of them if you're seeing nothing but that. We go out to visit my wife's parents. They live out a ways. They live outside of a small town by about a mile, and out there you can see everything in the sky. You can just see the whole Milky Way up there. You can see the band across where it's brighter, where there's all the stars clustered. You can see some of the larger constellations real clear, and I just miss that anytime we're in the city out at night. I just try looking up. I definitely took the wrong exit there. Whoops. Oh well. I'll just take this turnaround. Now they call them, so I'm in Texas, and they call them Texas turnarounds around here. I don't know if they call them that everywhere, but when you have an overpass at a junction in your highway, and then you get on the feeder road off to the side, and there's a place where you can turn around without actually getting to the light that's doing most of the traffic direction. So you can do a U-turn without waiting for a light, and it helps a lot with traffic. There are people doing it all the time, because if you have somewhere you need to be that's on the feeder road, I mean, there's no other way to get there than take a U-turn. But in a lot of cities in other states, I know, especially older road systems that have it, you have to take 2 left turns and usually have to wait for both lights, since they don't always turn green at the same time. For left turns, that is. I mean, they turn green if you're just turning left and going straight, but a lot of times they'll have oncoming traffic start before you're done, and so you'll turn. But it's one of those things that I feel like more people need to have, because you really need the ability to get around. Because I've been stuck at a light for like 5 minutes just trying to make a single left turn in some bigger cities in different states. But yeah, traffic is just always a nightmare, even when you're in a smaller place. And then you have guys like this guy in that truck ahead of me right now who's trying to merge onto a highway at 30 miles per hour. Clearly something wrong there. But we're back on the highway. Oh, I know that you can't see what I'm doing, so it is probably not that entertaining. But, oh well, you're stuck with it, because I am not recording video while I drive. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I know there's advantages to small towns and there's advantages to cities. And like, I know we get really good groceries, for example, where we are. Everything's super fresh, really good prices. Like, not amazing prices all the time, but you get what you need and you don't have to worry about it. But I know in smaller towns, the prices tend to go up a little just because it's further to drive. Food doesn't tend to be quite as fresh because you have a few more hours in the truck. But, I mean, you have everything you need. And I'd really like to live within spitting distance of somewhere like where I am now, so I could go to a bigger grocery store. The store I'm going to, actually, I know that some people like certain stores and all, but I am a big fan of my grocery store, and it's H-E-B here in Texas. It's a great store. Like, their food is, because they have their own store brand, of course, like everybody does, but theirs is cheaper, but it's also just tastes better. And I kept thinking maybe I was just trying to see it. Maybe I was just being biased because I like that it's kind of Texas themed, or because I like going there better. But no, it is just better food. Like, there ain't no two ways about it. So I just like that store a lot better. I'm hoping they put another one here so that the foot traffic lessens up a bit, because it is the busiest grocery store in town, because there's only one of them and everybody likes it. My brother-in-law said that he thinks it's more expensive, but I think that he just got all the name brand products there because they aren't the kind to buy the off-brand or store brand ever, whereas we just buy nothing but the store brand. Every now and then we'll buy certain things in the name brand if they're really a lot better or really necessary. But it's a lot of expense for not much reason. Oh. It's one of those things where it's definitely kind of weird to have a favorite grocery store, but at the same time, it feels kind of weird not to. Oh, I think it's just something as an adult you tend to do more, is pick favorite grocery stores, because you focus so much more on that kind of food and those kind of things. Like, when I was a kid, all I was worried about is toys or video games, like console brand, and so I didn't care much about brand of clothes or food. But as an adult, I spend so much more time thinking about all the little things, probably more than I should a lot of times, but you end up thinking so much about them that you get a favorite grocery store and you get a favorite clothing store. Now, I like different clothing. Is hard. I do not like clothes shopping. Like, it's just not fun to me, but you have to do it, and clothes get worn out too, and especially socks. I go through so many socks. Like, once a year I have to buy a new pack of like 12 pair of socks, because I just wear out the ones I have. Probably don't trim my toenails enough, but I wear boots almost every day just because they're so much better than tennis shoes. But I get my boots from a store. I get them about $150 a pair, which ain't bad for boots. It's pretty cheap. One of the cheaper pairs of boots. I get them, $120 to $150 per pair, which is a lot. But then the other option is that I get tennis shoes, and the only tennis shoes that fit me good are like $60 to $80 a pair. So I just pay twice the price, and they last more than twice as long, because boots just last a long time. At least in my experience, my boots have. And my tennis shoes always got super worn out, but my feet grew very fast as a kid. Like, I wear size 14 shoes now, but I was size 12 in 8th grade, so it was like 1 or 2 sizes every single year. I was going up in shoes, and it just gets to be a lot when you have to buy a new pair of shoes every single year, and then they get worn out and get holes in them by the time you are done. It was funny in high school sports, and not so much high school because I didn't do any sports that required shoes. In high school I was in swimming, but in junior high I was in cross country, and then I was in track and field, and so we got shoes provided for us there, and they had to like dig way in the back for a track to find the right pair of shoes, and they barely fit me too. They almost didn't have any that were the right size, but then they found them eventually. And then they in cross country, they had to special order my shoes because they did not have any above size 10. But there were some other guys who had as big a feet as mine, but they weren't quite so big so early because it was the junior high, so they weren't expecting you to be full grown yet, especially not the guys, because guys tend to have that growth spurt in high school where they really grow into everything. But yeah, my feet grew early, and then I popped up a little later. I was kind of tall as a kid. I'm about 6 foot now, maybe a little under when I'm not wearing shoes. And so it's interesting because in the younger grades especially, so like second, third, fourth, I was one of the taller kids. And I remember being like, me and this other kid were the two tallest kids in the school, and we had about 150 people in each grade, so it's not that many, like 70 guys, 60 to 70 guys. We were the taller ones. But then it hit 4th grade, and I was one of the taller ones still. 5th grade, everybody else started catching up. I was a little on the tall side, not exactly. 6th, 7th, I was just average, and then about average, maybe a little above average after that. It's weird going to different schools because I know I grew up in the same house my entire life. I never even moved house, so I didn't move schools or anything. I know most people did a couple of times, 1 or 2 times, but we were just pretty stable. So yeah, I just went to the same school, same people I knew the whole time. And I guess we were a little taller than average as a school because I was probably about the average guy in high school. I was not bigger than anyone else by any measure, and so I felt about normal. And the church I grew up going to, I was maybe halfway. I was probably less than halfway up on that scale. Just a bunch of tall guys there. But then I went off to college, and suddenly I was tall again, because it turns out that average height in the U.S. is only 5'10" for men. So I was 2 inches taller than the average guy in college. The average guy at my college was probably about that, maybe a little shorter, so I was tall. And it was weird for me because I would be tall there, and then I'd go home and be one of the shorter ones. It felt like. With my family, I'm about the same size as all the other guys. There's not too much variation with us, so I guess it's all comes out averaging. But it's just a weird experience as you travel, getting that different kind of comparison, and just never is quite the same everywhere you go, whether it's your height or just the way you talk. I know I have quite a thick accent, but nobody around here does. I have the accent my dad has. I definitely took it from him and his family, because I always really liked my dad's side of the family. We'd go down and visit them. They're from East Texas, and they all had much thicker accents like mine. And I think I kind of modeled mine subconsciously after that, but it wasn't even this strong originally, I don't think. But the thing is, my dad had it, and so I kind of copied from him, because I've always looked up to my dad a lot, so I wanted to be like him. But then also, in high school, it wasn't really that weird. There was a wide range of accents. I went to a pretty diverse school, and so nobody got made fun of for their accent, as far as I can remember, at least. Somebody might have, and I just didn't know it. But I was never teased about my accent. But then I got to college, and in college, people were there from a wider area of the U.S. Still mostly Texas, New Mexico, but people were there from a much wider area, so I was made fun of a little more for my accent. But that just made me want to keep it even more, because by that point I was old enough to know that being made fun of is stupid and you should just embrace what makes you different. So I embraced my accent, and now I feel like it's a part of me, and I like being the guy with the strong Texas accent. It kind of sets me apart. Well, I am here, so that's all for now. Be back in a minute. Okay, that took a little longer than expected. But anyway, I was talking about, something about school, I think. But, I can just change the subject. But yeah, I was looking for some ant killer, got that, but that's needing a empty spray bottle, and that was surprisingly hard to find. I'm not so good at finding things in stores, though. That's probably why I am not a big fan of shopping. Somebody planted a tree right in the way of that stop sign. Anyways. Yeah, not the biggest fan of shopping, but I get it done. It's more of a chore, really, than anything. But some people really like shopping. I don't really get that completely. Like, when I'm shopping for things I enjoy, it's not bad, but I still just get exhausted afterward, and I really don't fully get all the excitement some people get around shopping. For me, it's much better just to stay home and relax and do something else. And I also just don't like spending money. I was raised frugally, I think is a good way to put it, because we weren't like, oh, you can't spend a single cent, and we got allowance. We could spend our money how we wanted, but it wasn't where we could just buy whatever. We couldn't just spend money all willy-nilly, and we did have a budget for sure. My parents saved money where they could, because they liked to treat us to things when they could. We always went on vacation, and I know that cost a lot. They saved up all year long for it, and they liked helping out people when they could too, so it made it all worth it. But yeah, so I still have a hard time spending money. I always think, oh, do I really need that? I could just save that money and do something else. But I think I'm getting more used to the idea of just because you can save money doesn't mean you have to. And I still prefer to save money where I can, but it turns out that just, being an adult living life is very expensive. The biggest expense a lot of times is health insurance. Like, it is crazy expensive just to not go into extreme debt every single time you get a cold. It is way too much to have health insurance these days. And I know that most of that money is just going to waste too. It's annoying just seeing the way healthcare prices just go up and up and up. And there is no reason for it. Like, the health insurance companies, you can see on your bill, they negotiate it down like crazy. So the bill is not as high as it actually says it is. It's ridiculously overpriced. But I guess that's the world we gotta live in. I really am a fan of socializing healthcare. I know that there are going to be tons of issues with overspending on it too, but if everyone just put money into the same healthcare system, not all these separate systems, that healthcare system was not for profit and just covered everything, it would be so easy to just put into that, and it would be so much cheaper than what we have now. Like, people complain that if you don't have private health care, then you don't get the good competition that makes the healthcare in the US good. But our healthcare is not as good as that. Like, it's got all kinds of issues with it. Plus, if you privatize insurance, you're not privatizing healthcare or publicizing insurance. Like, you can still have private healthcare companies with public health insurance that would cover all of the costs. So you could still have the good parts of both, but people just seem to be terrified of anything socialist these days. They think that something's gonna turn America into something else, but all it means is you're just paying a public health insurance instead of private, and nobody's making money off of it. That is the real reason that people don't want it to happen, because health insurance is one of the most lucrative markets in the US today. Like, it is ridiculous the amount of money people are making by charging people so that they don't go into debt. And you can't do without it either. Like, if you tried to go without health insurance, you'd break an arm and be so in debt you could never get out of it again. There's just no way to do it. And so everyone's forced into health insurance, but there's no cheap option because everyone knows you're forced into it. So you end up just spending crazy amounts of money because they know you have to have it, so they can charge whatever they want. Supply and demand means that if there's infinite demand, or at least every single person in the country is part of the demand, then the suppliers can just charge whatever price they want. And as long as nobody tries to undercut them, then it's not gonna go cheaper. And that's what's happening. To be the cheapest healthcare, you're still gonna be incredibly expensive, make a crazy amount of profit, and just get away with it because nobody's willing to lower prices. But that's enough ranting for today. And I'm home. So that is all.